Hello everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening today. And my apologies that I have been not able to release any episode for the past couple of weeks. I'm sorry for that, but now I'm back and in good shape for sure. But this is the number 5 episode of the Change Me podcast. My name is Jado. I'm your host, hosting the Change Me podcast. And thank you for all the subscribers on Spotify, I would say, all the followers, and also the people who are supporting on Patreon. And if you haven't supported our podcast, you can support us through the Patreon account. I will leave the link in the description. Welcome back. So for the last, the previous episode was the number 4 episode. We talked about the thinking outside the map. It was an interesting topic. Was an interesting conversation where I dived into how thinking outside the box is okay, but it's better to think outside the map. If you can think beyond the map, beyond the geographical location you are in, that would be super amazing. And it was really a good concept. If you haven't listened to the 4th episode, just one episode behind, you just go back and you find it. For the last conversation, I gave a short description and introduction, I would say, about Maison Shalom International. But today I'm going to give a little bit more details about the organization that supported me in high school back in 2016. And I'm really grateful to them. So Maison Shalom was founded in 1993 after the civil war that happened in Burundi in 1993. So Marguerite Baranki, who is the founder, she's Burundian as well. She founded the organization to help orphans of war in 1993 in Burundi. It also helped the people with AIDS and minors in prisons and other children in difficult situations. So she was really focusing on supporting the children because she understood that the future is depend on the children. The children of today are the future of tomorrow. So they have to be cared about today or care for today so they can be better in the future, I would say. And Maison Shalom have been working into that field, but recently I would say they understood that you cannot develop the child or the children if the community they are living in is not developed. So they understood that it's better to develop the community where children will grow, and then the future might be bright or will be bright for them if they are growing into a good community. So since 2015, when we left Burundi, our country, so she also fled the country as well. She was a refugee, and she's a refugee as well until today. Because we left the country in 2015 when the political strifes started, and she came to Rwanda. She came to Mahama refugee camp to see how we are living in there, the young people, the children, the elders, and everybody there. And she was shocked, but she's a visionary leader for sure. And then she thought, what can we do? So she understood that she's going to help us, to help the community so the children will grow in a very, I would say, comfortable, quote, community in Mahama refugee camp. So the organization started to establish offices in Kigali just from zero, because in Burundi they were well established for sure, but then when the political strifes started, they were also one of the targets. So she had to go, she left everything there, and she had to start Maison Shalom in Rwanda just from scratch, from zero, so she can support the fellow Burundians and the people who were struggling there, living a refugee life. So since 2016, she managed to take some students to universities and also some other young people to high school. So in 2015, I think it was in late 2015, in early 2016. So that's when they came in Mahama refugee camp to help us, to help some students go to school, go to finish their high school, go to finish their start and finish their universities, or start and finish their secondary school. That's what they did. That's a little bit about Maison Shalom. Nowadays, they are working in different projects, in different developmental projects. I will leave the link in the descriptions if you want to check more. And they are building a really, really excellent school. They actually have finished the school and they've opened recently this September. So it's an amazing school. If you're interested, you can check them out at maisonshalom.org. Well, the story is still connected to Maison Shalom. So when I arrived in Mahama refugee camp, it was in late in 2015. I don't know, June, July, something like that. So we were studying in French in Burundi. Just for the background information, the education system is in French in Burundi, but then we were in Rwanda, where the education system is in English. So we had to adapt. So when I left my home country, I wasn't yet done with my high school or my secondary education. So I had to finish it. So I was doing informatique de maintenance, it's like computer science in Burundi. And then I had like 2 years left for me to finish. But then I wasn't able to finish because I had to leave the country. I had to flee the country because of the political strifes happening in the country. So when I arrived in Rwanda, so I had to adjust actually to tell my head, hey, switch. We have to get used to English now. So in July, August, September, October, something like that. That's when we had the program, the English program in Mahama refugee camp in tents, so we can familiarize ourselves with English. And we done different subjects, English, French, and English, mathematics, all those subjects, biology, chemistry, so we can know how do we actually do the math we used to do in French, but now in English. How do we do that? What's the difference? So that's what we did, and it worked for sure. I was there for a couple of months studying the English, and really, I was surprised how quickly I was able to adapt and adjust to the English. It was incredible. The schools, attending schools in tents. It's I still remember the schools, the tent. It's an incredible story for sure. I look back in time and I'm like, wow. So when I arrived there, I was doing computer science in Burundi, and then UNHCR and the government of Rwanda started building some schools so we can go to school. But then remember, they can't build the schools for all the history, the people who are doing history, geography, computer science, economy, all those options, all those majors, I would say we were doing in high school. So the thing is, I had to find a school teaching computer science so I can be able to finish. So what happens, those schools are very expensive, so I wouldn't be able to afford those schools with computer science, those technical majors, I would say. So they were really, really expensive. I couldn't be able to afford them. So what happened is I had to learn the English, and that was okay now. And then the remaining puzzle was how am I going to find the computer science major and then finish my high school it was really a challenge. But I had this thing in mind. I was really positive that this is going to work. So to tell the story clearly, I had two friends. One was called Calvin, another one Robert. So we were attending the classes together in the tent. So I will always say, hey guys, let's learn the English and then be fine, be okay with the communication and learning, and then I'm sure we will get those majors. Let's say both were doing. They were doing. One were doing veterinary and another one was doing agronomy. So they were like, "You crazy! You crazy! How the hell are you going to get into those schools? You know, UNHCR and the government of Rwanda cannot build all the buildings, the schools, bring all the labs or the computer labs and everything for us, for the people doing agronomy, computer science, veterinary, and others doing medicine. It was complicated. So the government of Rwanda and the UNHCR, they had to find at least some very easy, I would say, or common subjects they can bring to that school. The school was called Paysana L. So they brought a couple of majors, the literature, English, French, Kinyarwanda, economics, geography, history, all those things that do not require really building labs and everything. But I was still convinced. No, I was like, no, the schools exist over there, somewhere in the neighborhood of the camp, in a couple of kilometers from there, and in Kigali or different places. But they were like, you crazy, stay here, we're going to go there, forget the computer science, forget the veterinary, forget the agronomy, forget everything, and then we start from scratch. We start the English, the literature, the economics, the geography, all those things. But I said, no, I'm sure we'll get them. To be honest, I don't know why I said that. And until today, I still don't understand why I did say that and why they did say that. I was positive I'm going to get the schools, to get into the schools, but they were negative, we're going not to get into those schools. So something interesting happened. So Maison Shalom came to take some students to go and finish their high school. So the condition was you have to be at least among the first 10 students in Burundi, like in your class, the first 10, and then you need to have a school report testifying that you were at least among the first 10 students who were in your school or in your class. And that's what happened. But also we had to do the test, I would say the admission test. So myself, I did the test, and we did the test as well with my friends, Calvin and Robert, and we both passed. Very, very good scores, we passed. But then something was different between three of us, so among three of us. I was having a school report and they were not having it. I was just having a piece of paper, school report, but they did not have the school report, and it was a requirement. It was a requirement you couldn't get into the school or into the Maison Shalom program if you don't have that, because it was a condition you had to testify you were among the first 10 students in your class in Burundi, back in Burundi. So what happened is I get into the school, I get into the computer science. I did my 2 years and then finished. And Calvin and Robert, they went to Paysana L, the school UNHCR and the government of Rwanda built, did the literature, economics and history and geography, then forgot the veterinary and agronomy courses they were doing or majors they were doing back in Burundi. But I'm still amazed by the story, because I was really convinced I'm going to get into those schools, and they were convinced that there is no way it's going to happen. There is no way this is going to happen. And that's what happened. I was positive I'm going to get into the school. I got into them, and they were negative. We're not going to get into the school. They did not. And that's when I was asking myself, maybe it's magic. It creates magic when you are positive. And then I thought about that. It's something like when you are positive, maybe it's a sign that things are going to work out, to work well later. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they are going to work. So it means if you feel like you're negative, at least in my understanding, it would be like force yourself to think positive and then see what's going to happen, because we never know. That's when I say thinking positive created magics for me, and maybe will create magics for you as well. My situation was no way out, I would say, because I wouldn't afford the school. But yeah, it happened. Eventually, I got into the school because of, I would say, quote unquote, because of the positive thinking, which I still give credit to the positive thinking for sure. But I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand why I was positive and they were not, for sure. It's incredible. It's incredible. I would say, for sure. So it worked for me. Maybe it will work for you as well. It's interesting. I always tell this story, and people will be like, "Wow, it's interesting." Maybe someone was praying for you, let's say, or something was telling you, yes, it will work for sure. That's it's an incredible story for sure. But I will have a conversation with both my friends. Ask them what were you thinking actually when you said it's not gonna happen. It's not happening. What will the state of your mind? I'm curious to know that. We'll definitely have a conversation with them and ask them why. What was going on in your head? So it's I would say. At least in what I would give as a conclusion to this, communication is very important, but also the communication with us, the words we tell ourselves, what we use in communicating. Because I was positive, I was using positive words. This is going to happen, and they said this is not going to happen. It means words are very, very important. Words are very, very important things. It's I would say it's a tool we have. It's a tool we have on our disposal, and then we have to use it perfectly or correctly so it doesn't go wrong. I'm still convinced now that if you continue using the positive words, at the end of the day, the result might not be tomorrow or after tomorrow, but eventually the result might also turn into positive. But also it might give you a strength. It might give you strength to face whatever you're facing, or a challenge or a problem, and then try to solve it. All right. I thank everyone who will following with this fifth episode. So thank you so much for listening. And this is the best way to close this episode number 5 of the Change Me podcast, the first season. And thank you for the people who are following on Spotify. They keep following. Share with friends. Leave a comment or leave a review if you feel like it, and leave a comment for sure. What do you think about the positive thinking of what I've been discussing into this episode? So thank you so much. And if you haven't supported on Patreon, you can still do the same. You can still support on Patreon. You can still support Change Me podcast on Patreon. I will leave the link in a description. Thank you so much.